What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos, and today we're going to be going over the Turles deck that I featured in the most recent Battle Chamber video against Stark Broly. Now, real quick, before we get started, I want to shout out Apex Decks. We have a couple of online clients when it comes to deck building and card albums and libraries and stuff like that. You know, you have DBS Decks and you have Shenron's Lair. And I'm a big fan of Shenron's Lair. I've used them for a very, very long time. But I gotta be honest, I tried DBS Decks on the recommendation of a couple of my friends. Shout out to you, Matt, Brian, and Kevin. And, you know, I'm super thrilled with how everything just looks nice and clean on this site. It's so easy to just build a deck, throw it together, and, you know, kind of get a nice display. They even have a nice little feature here with prices and stuff. You know, for the cards that currently exist and are out in the market. Obviously, as you can see, this is a set 12 deck, so we are missing a couple of cards. But for the most part, you can change your view from list like this. You can change it to, you know, just kind of, you know, a drop down, so you can scroll through each of the cards and read all the effects. And then you can have your standard, just like tile, and have the amount of cards in the top right corner. So I just wanted to shout out Apex Decks for them putting together this online database for us to utilize so that we can start building decks. I haven't really played around with it too much. I know there's a screenshot, there's a hand randomizer. I don't know if they have integration with Untapped to export, you know, deck lists and stuff like that, but for the most part, this is a very clean display. And we are missing a couple of cards here because they were just recently revealed, you know, the tournament promos and the secret rares and stuff like that. But as I go through the deck, I'll definitely tell you where you can add and drop a couple of things if you want to fit in some like SCRs and stuff like that. But without further ado, let's get right into the deck. So we are playing Turles. This is the deck I'm most excited for set 12. The leader is a powerhouse himself. On the Unawakened side, he's a 10k swing permanent. If a Turles Crusher core card in your battle area would be placed in its owner's drop by one of your skills, it's sent to the warp instead. So you can't Successor, you can't bring in Belmod, because those guys have to hit the drop in order for their you know, skills to just kind of take place and come into the board. So it's definitely future proofing for cards like that. But for the most part, everything else is pretty self-explanatory. When you place this card in your leader area, which is, we're going to go over this hand in hand with the leader, you activate a Tree of Might from your deck onto your opponent's side of the board. Now, why is that good? Well, Tree of Might is the extra card that you get for the archetype here. Let's just look at it a little more specifically here. Tree of Might is the extra card that you get for the Crusher Core archetype. Permanent, while in the battle area, this card can't be placed in drop area by your skills, and reduce the combo cost of all of your opponent's Crusher Cores in their hand and battle area by 1. So it's really good because it now becomes your opponent's card, you, the Turles player, playing it on their board, so they can get rid of it with their own effects, which is very good. So like, if you're playing against like OG set 1 Broly, where he pops a card on the board, he can't get rid of this field spell, right? And then if all of your opponent's energy is mono green, meaning you, the player of Turles, if this card's in your battle area at the start of your main phase, you choose one card in your life, flip it face up. If you do, your opponent adds one fruit of the Tree of Might from their deck to their hand, then shuffles if they look through it. Activate main. If your leader card is a Turles Crusher Core, place this card in your opponent's area in active mode. So if you're playing the mirror, the Tree of Might is going to constantly swap hands every turn, which is nice because you'll be able to benefit both sides from it. The ability to add the fruit of the Tree of Might from the deck is what makes the deck, you know, basically just go, right? Like, this deck is gas. You can go wide very quickly. You can also go tall very quickly. And Tree of Might is just basically a 1-drop extra card. Activate battle if your leader card is a Turles Crusher Core and all of your energy is mono green. You can flip one face-up life your opponent's in from your opponent's life face down. Choose up to one of your leader cards or battle cards. It gets 20k power for the battle. If the chosen card is Turles, it also gains double strike. So your Turles has become double strike plus 20k, or otherwise you can just give 20k to something, right? Which is huge because the Turles battle cards we have, if we want to look at them real quick, they're pretty decent. Like Turles Cosmic Rogue obviously is your boss monster because he's got critical and he can KO something every time he swings, and you can obviously bring him out for a reduced cost if you control 3 or more Crusher Cores in your battle area, which is nice. But I like Crusher Core Commander. I think this is the best card in the deck. It's just so versatile. It's a really good turn 1 play, both offensively and defensively. Basically what he does is he's a unique deflect auto. Choose one card in your hand, place it at the bottom of your deck when this card is played, draw 2 cards, and this card gets plus 5,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. You flip one of your opponent's life face up. Activate battle for 1 green. If you have 2 or more Turles Crusher Core cards in your combo area, play this card from your hand. So basically he's a 1-drop because you're going to be comboing Crusher Cores with the way the deck just plays. As you can see, we're playing a very good amount of Crusher Cores here for the deck just to make sure that we hit our pieces. And then once you combo him into play, or once you activate that battle, he comes in as a 1-drop 20k basically for the turn. Now, what I mean by offensively and defensively is if you don't have your turn 1 play, which is always going to be essentially your 1-drop Turles, Invader of the Earth, you can just charge and pass. And then if you have this guy in your hand, as long as you combo 2 other Crusher Cores in your hand, you can bring this guy out for 1 and just get infinite value there, right? Or just an insane amount of value. So I'm really liking the versatility of this deck with the ability to go wide, go tall, control the board, swarm the board, have good overall plays. It's just a really nice build, I think. Shout out to Zevi, one of my former teammates over at Counter Club. He kind of shared his list with me a little bit, and I want to say it's close to identical to the list that he's playing, maybe minus the Unison. I really like this Vegito here. He's just a really good card for this deck because you want to protect your battle cards because of your Cosmic Rogue, right? Cosmic Rogue gets cost reduction as long as you have 3 or more Crusher Cores on the board. And the fact that this Vegito gives all of your green battle cards revenge, it might make your opponent pick and choose when they want to swing and whatnot. You also have access to blockers in this deck, so having a revenge blocker is really, really nice. And just an uptick 2 on a 15k Unison is something your opponent has to consider. If you get to 7 markers and you're able to -7, you basically just win the game because you're going to get rid of 3 of your opponent's cards and you're also going to get rid of 1 of their lives. It's just really good. Also, turn 2 Unison is really good for the deck because it turns on your counterplays, frees a charismatic villain. It also turns on your dormant potential, which is a really good card for this deck as well. And it's just really good synergy. If they do come out with better 2-drop Unisons for green, it's something to consider. But I think 2-drop is the sweet spot. You can make the argument for Demigra, but Demigra just loses a lot of steam going into the late game because he's just an aggro, Unison that turns on your stuff early. And for the most part, on turn 1, you either want to play Invader of Earth or you want to have the energy open for Crusher Core Commander, in my opinion. Now, that's just my opinion. But let's get back on track here. So aside from the Crusher Cores, you have your 2 Turles, your 3 Turles guys, your 1, 3, and 4 drops. We're not playing the Xeno Chain. It's just way too many cards, but we are maxing out on all of our little guys. So we have 4 Almond, 4 Dyes, 4 Cacao, he's your super combo, 4 Raisin, and 4 Luxe. So basically, these guys all have the same auto where they're comboed from the hand or from the deck. Once the combo has resolved and the battle is over, they come into play in rest mode. Except for Raisin, he comes in active mode. He's your blocker, so he comes in active mode. And they all have a secondary effect once they're on the board. So Almond here doesn't have an auto when he enters, but he has an activate main. For 1 green, you can send him to your warp, and then you can KO one of your opponent's battle cards that cost 5 or more. So if there's a problematic battle card on your opponent's side of the board that you don't really want to deal with, as long as it doesn't have barrier, you can just pay 1, warp it, and get rid of it. It's really good, really nice removal. I wish it was an activate battle. It would have been really clutch if it was an activate battle, but I definitely see the balancing factor there, because if it was an activate battle, you could just bring him in off a combo. As long as you have energy open, you could just pay 1. It's like a Shugesh Kid Goku type thing, The combo does have to resolve, so technically it's not as broken as Shugesh Goku, but I see why they made it an activate main, just to balance it out, I guess. Then we have Dies. I think Dies is probably the best one. When he enters the field in rest mode off of combo, you look at top 3 and you add a Crusher Core to your hand. So it just keeps the deck cycling, going over, everything. And your super combos are Crusher Core. Like, they have that tag. So you can add your super combos off of your Dies and off of your leader swing. So when you swing with your leader, you can add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, and then you look at the top 5 cards from your deck and add a Crusher Core among them to your deck, to your hand, and then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So it's just really good toolboxing effects. You have the toolbox effect with Dies, you have the toolbox effect with Turles the leader. It's just a really good synergistic strategy that I definitely recommend. If you guys like tribal decks, if you guys like archetype specific stuff, I definitely recommend trying the Crusher Core out because they're going to be really good. Green did get a huge power boost in set 10 with Dormant Potential and Charismatic Villain, so I think green is here to stay. Obviously, you can make room for some green goodies like Ribrianne and stuff like that. As you can see, we are playing 2 Earth-Destroying Cell Kamehamehas, but for the most part, you're going to want to lean in heavy to the archetype-specific stuff. So we have our super combo. I like the twins, Lakase and Raisin. Lakase is really good because when he comes in play off of a combo, he goes ahead and grabs Raisin from the deck, and then he draws 1 card and discards 1 card. So he thins out your deck by 2 cards, and he gets you to see a new one if you really need to. And Raisin has the effect too where if you don't have Lakase but you combo Raisin into play, Raisin will go ahead and grab Lakase. So it's really good because these guys come out in pairs, which is going to help you get your number of Crusher Cores out on the board higher and higher. Now, the downside of the Crusher Core is, aside from your Turles cards, your other guys, Ammon, Dies, Cacao, well, not Cacao, but Ammon, Dies, Raisin, and Lakase, they're 1 cost 3k combos. Now, it's a little fair. Like, I see why it is the way it is, because off of your Invader of Earth, if you flip 5 Crusher Cores and they were all 5k combos, you're just getting a 25k swing off of just combo power, and then plus the 4k from the 1 drop. So it'd be a 29k swing for 1 energy. It would just be too busted. So the fact that if you flip 5, you only get 15k power, it makes it a little better because it's a 1 drop 19k. If you're lucky enough to flip a super combo, it might be a little stronger than that, but for the most part, they balanced it very well because you don't want to get this out of hand. They all pretty much have the unique tag as well, so you can't swarm the board with multiple copies. So it's definitely not, just unga bunga, turn your card sideways and win. There is some very important sequencing when it comes to this deck, and it's going to reward, investment. And what I mean by that is, if you know your ins and your outs of this archetype and you know your matchups, it's going to reward those types of players because they're going to know when and when not to either under or over combo. Sometimes you do want to combo cards off of the board, so you can combo a secondary copy from your hand just to get the enter battle auto. That's something to pay attention to if you're going to be testing this type of strategy. Aside from that, it's pretty much standard. You have your 4 Charismatic Villains, your 4 Dormants. Secret Identity Mass Saiyan is a card that I've been talking a lot about with my playgroup, the Tensubro Cartel. Shout out to you guys. I think main board removal is going to be very important in set 12, especially because a lot of decks are going wide and tall simultaneously. They're putting out a lot of threats for cheap energy. Look at Demon King Piccolo. He plays all of his stuff when he combos them from life face up. So if you have multiple drums, I mean, you can't really target drums because he's got barrier, but you got multiple symbols, you got tambourines, you got stuff like that you want to get rid of. Secret Identity is probably the best, most efficient way of removal because he doesn't cost any energy. Yes, you have to overwhelm for 6, but if you're afraid of warping your fruit, you can always activate the leader's activate main on the awakened side. Once per turn, you can add a fruit from your drop to your hand as long as you bottom deck a card from your hand. So you have recyclability there. That's how we're only playing 3 fruits. And it just gives you that extra protection. Yes, you have built-in R-type specific removal with the 4 drop, but he's only going to get rid of 1 card every time he swings. Whereas if you want to combo that with Mass Saiyan, you'll be able to get rid of a lot of different things because Mass Saiyan warps up to 6. Also, for cards like Gogeta that can't be KO'd, Secret Identity comes in clutch because he warps it off of the board, and that's one less threat that you have to deal with. A couple other highlights. I did try playing the Great Saiyaman super combo, but I felt like you don't really go to 4 life very quickly because you can kind of mitigate the damage that you take. If you want to be super aggressive, yeah, you can get to 4 really quickly, but for the most part, I've been awakening on turn 3 with like 5 or 6 life. So my super combos are essentially dead at that point. This guy is dead on the draw because he doesn't draw you a card unless you're at 4 or less, but he's a floating 10k. So he's always going to be a free 10k combo, whereas Gohan, you have to be at 4 or less in order to bottom deck draw 2 and also get the 10k combo. The added bonus also is that he is a Crusher Core. If he wasn't a Crusher Core, you could probably make the argument that he's not as strong, but the fact that he's a Crusher Core and I can search him off lead, search him off dies, or flip him off the 1-drop is why I play him specifically. The Unison we talked about a little earlier, you can try Demigra, you can try the 2-drop Frieza Unison. That's a card that me and Nate were talking about before we landed on Vegito. Shout out to you, Nate. But I think I found my Unison of choice here for the deck. And then Earth Destroying Kamehameha is really good when you want to push for game. You do leave a lot of energy open because you're playing threats for so cheap. So if you get to your kill turn, which is probably going to be 3 or 4 energy, and you're able to drop your Cosmic Rogue, you're going to have an extra energy or 2 open. If you do it on turn 4, you'll have 2 energy open, so you'll be able to play him for 2. You'll be able to fruit and sell. If you do it on turn 5, it's even better. I was playing a game against Matt yesterday, and I was able to play him turn 5, swing with a fruit and 2 Earths, destroying Kamehameha, and it's just infinite value from there. So it's definitely something to look into. Like I said, this deck is going to be public here on Apex Decks. You can look for my username, which is going to be NCX2. If you have any questions or concerns, just let me know. But that's basically it. This is the deck that we've been testing, or that I've been testing exclusively for set 12. There is one change I'm going to make. Obviously, I'm going to add in the secret rare once it is available. It's on Untap, of course, but it's not in any of these deck building sites just yet. As far as what I would cut, to be honest, I wouldn't cut anything. I would just add the secret rare and play 52 cards. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, I feel like that's okay because this deck filters a lot, and you'll be able to draw into your pieces when you need them, and you'll be able to search the pieces that you don't have. So I think I would probably main deck 52 with the secret rare, and of course I'm talking about the secret rare Boo that we're getting in set 12. The counter, that card is just busted. For 3 energy, he comes in and it just wrecks your opponent's strategy, and then you just go in all with a double strike for 40k. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to check out Apex Decks, and also please check out Davidson TCG for all of your custom creations. Obviously, you guys saw earlier in the video, he's going to be doing a Turles for set 12. I'm definitely going to be getting my hands on one of those. So if you guys are interested in getting custom creations, hit him up. All of the information will be in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you guys next time. Be there or be squared.